Hello and welcome for BSID 70. My name is Christian Gabriel Marcelo, and I would like to thank you for giving me the honor for being the speaker for today's webinar, Underwater Wireless Technology. And let's dive into the wonders of underwater through the use of technology. More than 75% of the Earth's surface is covered by water in the form of oceans. Underwater wireless communication, or UWC, plays a significant role in observation of marine life, water pollution, oil and gas rig exploration, surveillance of natural disasters, naval tactical operations for coastal securities, and to observe the changes in the water environment. And it plays an important role in marine activities such as environmental monitoring, underwater exploration, and scientific data collection. So, the first thing that we need to ask, why do we need underwater wireless technology? Well, it is used in various and in a variety of ways in oceanography studies, offshore oil exploration, study of underwater organisms, remotely operated vehicles, underwater oil pipe inspection, underwater wireless sensor networks, and underwater data centers. So here we have two examples on the left side, oceanography studies, and on the right side of the screen, offshore oil exploration. Oceanography studies, it's typically divided into four subdisciplines: physical oceanography, which is the study of waves, currents, tides, and ocean energy; geological oceanography, which is the study of the sediments, rocks, and structure of the seafloor and coastal margins; chemical oceanography, the study of the composition and properties of seawater and how it is affected by physical mixing processes and interactions with the seafloor, the atmosphere, and ocean life; and lastly, biological oceanography, the study of marine organisms and their interaction with the ocean environment. Offshore oil exploration, on the other hand, it is the mechanical process where a well bore is drilled below the seabed. It is typically carried out in order to explore for and subsequently extract petroleum which lies in rock formations beneath the seabed. So these two things that is being used by underwater wireless technology plays a significant role in our environment and also in our living onto the surface. Oceanography studies is the culmination of different types of things that are happening in the ocean, like how marine animals interact with their environments, how predators like sharks attack their prey, how whales move underwater, how dolphins dive and swerve out into the ocean, and also how volcanoes are formed underwater, how typhoons are being made, how they are colliding to each other, how tsunamis are being monitored. And offshore oil exploration, uh, this helps us navigate our ocean floors, the seabed, on where to drill for oils, for fossil fuels, on where to locate them, since technically this makes our world move and how it goes around, since most of our mechanism, our machines, is in need of oil, petroleum, gasoline, our power plants, on how our electricity was made is because of fossil fuels and offshore oil. The study of underwater organisms and remotely operated vehicles. So, the study of underwater organisms, or marine biology, is the study of marine organisms, their behaviors and interactions with the environment, and marine biologists study biological oceanography, while remotely operated vehicles is used when diving by humans is either impractical or dangerous, such as working in deep water or investigating submerged hazards. ROVs and AUVs carry equipment like video cameras, lights, robotic arms to grab things. So, just like the biological oceanography, the study of underwater organisms plays a significant role since these are the dwellers underwater. So, we need to study them, understand them, and make use of their physiolo- uh, physiology, physicality, and how they perform underwater. While remotely operated vehicles, it is very important for navigating crashed aircraft, sunken ships, uh, undiscovered treasures, untraveled parts of the sea, and underwater exploration since it is man driven. Someone is driving or remotely controlling those vehicles to navigate the ocean. Underwater oil pipe inspection and underwater wireless sensor networks. Underwater oil pipe inspection refers to a preventive maintenance examination of pipelines to identify corrosion, cracks, and other defects that may result in the catastrophic failure of the structure. It is a form of non-destructive examination. In line inspection may also be known as line inspection. And underwater sensor networks or wireless sensor networks, networks used to perform monitoring of tasks over a specific region. It is equipped with smart sensors and vehicles that are adapted to communicate cooperatively through wireless connections. So, in the need of underwater pipe inspection is it let us know whether a building or an infrastructure made above the sea. Just like in Manila Bay, there are various and many buildings and businesses built over the water. So, in this kind of inspection, we can know the integrity, the strength of the building, the foundations of it, and also the oil rigs, the offshore oils that are standing above sea drilling oils. We need to also determine that the integrity of that structure is free of collapsing and corrosions so that it doesn't sink below the water. And underwater wireless sensor networks is a brief introduction of kind of waves, the fundamental of waves underwater, on how we can use them to wireless technology and letting sensor nodes and the connectivity of our wireless devices that we insert underwater. And lastly, underwater data centers. By putting data centers underwater near coastal cities, data would have a short distance to travel, leading to a fast and smooth web surfing, video streaming, and gameplay. The consistently cool subsurface seas also allow for energy efficient data centers designs. Microsoft is known to have put data centers underwater. Excuse me. Just like we see on the image, underwater data centers, databases, video cards, servers are put underwater, since just like they said that uh, the connection flows freely and super fast underwater, and also it saves space and energy underwater, since you don't have to buy a land to put these servers and data centers, and you don't have to invest on a very expensive cooling for them to be cooled, since our water is constantly changing and adapting the temperature. Also, these data centers adapt to it, so it's easier, space efficient, and having a faster connectivity. Network that works underwater. The underwater wireless sensor networks, or the UWSN, is a network used to perform monitoring of tasks over a specific region. It is equipped with smart sensors and vehicles that are adapted to communicate cooperatively through wireless connections. The surface sync retrieves the data from sensor nodes. So this is the underwater wireless sensor networks. This is the diagram, or this is a representation of how it works. So from the left side to the right, we can see the underwater acoustic networks, and it is being passed to the surface radio network. The data is being passed to it through a surface gateway to a surface sync, which is connected to a satellite, and the satellite is transmitting those data to a base station, having a database in the server containing IP networks, and to the web services through the cloud and back to the clients. And uh, going back from right to left, we can see the server, you know, processing and accessing the database through the base station, and going directly, not through satellite, to the surfacing. Well, technically it is connected to the satellite, but to make the process short, it goes directly to the surface sync and back to the surface gateway onto the acoustic networks. So these are the requirements of UWSNs, or underwater wireless sensor networks. We have five of them, which is the longevity, accessibility, complexity, security and privacy, and environmental sustainability. So longevity, it has a significant impact on the cost, time, maintenance, task, and performing underwater sensor nodes. It is crucial for maximizing the network lifetime, especially for mobile sensor nodes operations. Accessibility. The communication range is another important requirement for underwater wireless sensor network, which affects the density of nodes, deployment feasibility, and the network cost of the targeted monitoring area. The next requirement is complexity. Routing protocol selection and computing complexity contributes in identifying routes dynamically with no added information or prior knowledge about other nodes. Security and privacy. It is required for the network to create trust before all the nodes can securely connect to the network to allow communication for information exchange. And lastly, environmental sustainability, which is very important. The deployment of communication technologies is under an underwater wireless sensor network is required to consider the impact to underwater and wildlife. So now, who uses underwater wireless technology? There are recreational divers, videographers and photographers for film and television, underwater tour guides, instructors, search and rescue dive teams, commercial divers, military, and especially marine biologists. So these people are quite self-explanatory, but recreational divers, there are the people who are normal people who uses diving as a form of recreational activity. So they video themselves, they create recordings underwater presenting how beautiful and how enhancing and easing the stress diving can be. videographers and photographers in film and television. So most of the films and the movies and television like TV shows and well, special mentioning National Geographic, Animal Planet, Discovery Channel. They explore the vast oceans just to present us how sharks, you know, interact with other fishes, how octopus strangle their victims, and in the movies, how chase scenes in the speedboats are being filmed, and how catastrophes could be in a film is also presented by the use of the ocean. Underwater tour guides is for tour instructors like webinars, seminars in schools. Uh, they video on the ocean to be presented in education. Search and rescue dive teams are the people who rescue people who are stranded in the ocean. Sunken ships, crashed planes, lost boats. So, search and rescue dive teams uses underwater wireless technology. And commercial divers, these are the people uh, who uses uh, videography underwater by the use of commercial use in commercials and promotions and so forth, and in and also in military, while they use underwater wireless technology for security, defending the ocean, particularly the Marines, the soldiers who are assigned to navigate and to secure their ocean territories. And lastly, marine biologists who study marine life underwater. So here, this is the fundamentals of waves. So we have two kinds of waves: acoustic waves and optical waves. Acoustic waves is used as the primary carrier for underwater wireless communication systems due to the relatively low absorption in underwater environments, and the physical properties of acoustic waves is propagation, velocity, and absorption. The present technology of acoustic underwater communication is a legacy technology that provides low data rate transmissions for medium range communications. Data rates of acoustic communication are restricted to around tens of thousands of kilobits per second for ranges of a kilometer and less than 1,000 kilobits per second for ranges up to 100 kilometers due to severe frequency dependent attenuation and surface induced pulse spread. So the physical properties of acoustic waves is propagation velocity, which is the extremely slow propagation speed of sound through water, is an important factor that differentiates it from electromagnetic. And absorption: during propagation, wave energy may be converted to other forms and absorbed by the medium. The absorptive energy loss is directly controlled by the material, imperfecting or imperfection for the type of physical wave propagating through it. And the second type of wave is optical waves, which is the optical signals are rapidly absorbed in water. Optical scattering caused by suspending particles and planktons is significant. High level of ambient light in the upper part of the water column is another adverse effect optical communication. So the main thing for optical waves is that distance increase and power decreases as the same time. And open oceans has clear particles. Optical communication system consists of optical light source, optical light modulator, set of optics used when transmitting and receiving signal, optical light receiver, and filters. So this is an example of how underwater acoustic waves works. So there are other waves or different factors on how we can gather acoustic waves and how we can detect them, from breaking waves, from the sound or from the waves of a ship, from the waves of a volcano, a submarine, earthquake, fish school, a whale, the waves created by rainfall, a whale afar and a whale up near. And next is the representation of an underwater wireless optical communication or UWOC system, where a water tank with a circulation system on detail, turbulence generation system, laser light source, and how optical communication is being served to this. If you are familiar with optic fiber, it is somehow identical to it, which is much faster, much quicker, not unlike acoustic waves. And the challenges is for these fundamental waves is absorption, scattering, and turbulence. Absorption, which leads to extremely high path loss and short transmission radius. Scattering affect the wireless transmission, making it difficult to predict the received signal. Turbulence degrades both capacity and bit error rate performance as expected. So we head out to the Internet of Underwater Things. If we have IoT or Internet of Things, and now we have Internet of Everything or IOE, now we have the Internet of Underwater Things. And strictly linked with intelligent boats and ships, smart shores and oceans, automatic marine transportations, positioning and navigation, underwater exploration, disaster prediction and prevention, as well as with intelligent monitoring and security. And it has an influence at various scales, ranging from a small scientific observatory to a mid-sized harbor and to covering global oceanic trade. And here we can see a diagram of the Internet of Underwater Things on how they interact with each other. So we have AUVs, UAC link, we have deep ranges sync nodes from wireless sensor network, and we have sensor iOS or surface iOS. Is that no a system, and we have sea surface and satellites, which interacts with each other. And here we can see some examples of Internet of Underwater Things or devices. We have autonomous underwater vehicle or AUV, remotely operated vehicle or ROV. We have a submersible, underwater drone, smart buoy, and a glider. While AOV stands for Autonomous Underwater Vehicle and is commonly known as Uncrewed Underwater Vehicle. AUVs can be used for underwater survey missions such as detecting and mapping submerged rocks, and obstruction that can be a hazard to navigation for commercial and recreational vessels. The ROV, or remotely operated vehicle, is an unoccupied underwater robot that is connected to a ship by a series of cables. These cables transmit command and control signals between the operator and the ROV, allowing remote navigation of the vehicle. Pumps that are designed to be submersible are placed within the reservoir of water that needs pumping out. As such, they are often used for drainage and floods, sewage pumping, emptying ponds, or even as pond filters. From the bottom, from the left bottom part is the glider. These are a type of robotic underwater vehicle used for measuring oceanographic parameters such as chlorophyll levels, temperature, and salinity, which are and then transmitted back to the shore. They are very effective tools for gathering data from the ocean and carry a great variety of instruments. And next is a smart buoy, which have been utilized in, for example, water quality measurements, dredging, turbidity measurements, as well as algal pigment, salinity, temperature, and oxygen content measurements. And underwater ROVs, or underwater drones, are used in a variety of industries: search and rescue, military, recreational and discovery, aquaculture, marine biology, oil, gas, offshore energy, shipping, submerged infrastructure, and more. So we can see here there are a variety of Internet of Underwater things, which are the objects and machines that we use for wireless underwater technology, and they are very useful and they help a lot our professionals in expanding the fields of oceanography. And future directions, uh, there are various future directions for underwater wireless technology. We should anticipate the high data rate and bandwidth range in the future with the implementation of 5G wireless network candidate. Radio frequency communication offers great prospective aspects that permit to explore the forbidden field of ocean and underwater environments. Extremely low frequencies, or ELF, cover long distance, while the high frequency HF has high attenuation causes of losses. Electromagnetic signaling enables to lower distance signal propagation that was unaffected by harsh conditions and noises in shallow water. Now, I'll be playing a video for you. There are two videos. The first one is from LumaX, a high bandwidth underwater wireless communication, so that we can have a clear view of what our future would look like, and the future developments of these experts and information technology experts and marine biologists. a second video from Sanu's laser Li-Fi solutions, which enable the Internet of Underwater Things.
At Sanor, we use laser-based, high-speed, underwater wireless data transmissions and data harvesting to link devices from underwater. We'll be able to use those high-speed communication link for many devices and vehicles in underwater. That bandwidth is enough to connect a lot of devices together that will enable Internet of Underwater Things. Current underwater data transmissions technology is still extremely slow. We can only get a few kilobit per second. As compared to our technology, we can provide up to gigabit per second, a few hundred times faster. In underwater ambient, the channel is highly challenging because we have to deal with turbulence, we have to deal with constant motions of wave, temperature gradient, even bubbles from the seafloor that might interrupt the communication. In Sanor, we overcome this. Our link is highly reliable. Our technology allows to send signal from seafloor passing through the sea and air. The signal can then be picked up, for example, by drone, or being able to send signal directly to a buoy that is floating on the sea, and those will then be able to send signal to the land, further processing and monitoring. We can find a lot of niche applications. Oil and gas industry, underwater pipeline monitoring. They need to monitor it constantly in order to prevent any corrosions. Another industry that needs constant monitoring is offshore wind farm. So those monitoring will become very important. Other industry is underwater environmental monitoring, coral reef monitoring. Our technology also relevant to marine mammals monitoring and survey. We are very honored and very fortunate to be selected by Luminet. Being able to get into Luminet's program that helped us to acquire a lot of unique experience and knowledge in running a business, especially in optics and photonics. We learned a lot in business, in financing, and also in fundraising activity. And also we have very good mentors guiding us. Those will be experience that we will never get if we do not join Luminet program. As a researcher, it's always good to be able to see research done in the lab being translated into real applications that solve real problems. That itself is highly fulfilling.
And now to finish our webinar, and those videos are very motivating and really present how underwater wireless technology could be fascinating and can change our life, our way of life in the future. So to warm things up and to cool down our knowledge, so we can see some underwater wireless technology in pop culture. So on the left side, on the Meg 2018, a movie showing a glider, an underwater wireless object, a machine, a vehicle that we can ride, a submersible, a glider slash submersible during the final scenes of the film, being driven by Jason Statham. And the next one is from the movie of Godzilla King of the Monsters 2018. Underwater monarch facility shows a submersible swimming towards the facility and used to go to Godzilla's sanctuary. And that's all. And that's all we have to discuss right now. And thank you for attending for BSID 70 to this webinar. And I'm glad you've made this through the end of the webinar. And I hope I provided some information and new knowledge to you guys. And soon let us develop underwater wireless technology. Thank you.